tuning in to two former NFL scouts, Vital and Kelly, covering the NFL and college football like nobody else. Vital, a four-time Super Bowl winner, who worked for 6 NFL teams and held executive roles with 3 of them, the Patriots, Falcons, and Cowboys. And Kelly, a former pro scout with the New York Jets and current scouting director at FirstRoundMock.com. You've listened to the rest. Now it's time to hear from these two.
Hello, Lionel. How are you doing today?
Danimal, what's up, Danimal?
You're going right for it, right for my my nickname, Danimal. That's you keep saying that, it's going to catch on. It's going to become a I'm going to see bumper stickers that say Danimal.
Danimal.
That's right. That's right. Well, here we are on the backside of the NFC and AFC championship games. But that's not what we're talking about today. Oh, no, we're talking about a familiar topic. We're talking about a team that you worked for 6 seasons as a college scouting director. We're talking about America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. That's the topic. The Dallas Cowboys, Lionel. And back at it. Back at it, man. They're officially in the offseason. And to me, it's like, you know, when I was young, my parents loved watching soap operas. They love watching, the daily shows. My grandma, As the World Turns, The Bold and the Beautiful, all those kinds of shows. And the Dallas Cowboys have become, to me personally, in my opinion, like this NFL's version, this reality show, soap opera, whatever you want to call it, because they're out there making decisions again. And I have to admit, they're by far and away, they've gone from America's team to me to the biggest mystery in the National Football League.
Yeah, man. You know, you just have to turn your TV on or just pop on social media and you're going to get the Dallas Cowboys. You're going to know what's happening. You're going to hear all their dirty laundry and you're going to get all the scoop, man. It's crazy right now, but it's not looking good for them. It's not looking good.
It's not. Of course, we all know Mike McCarthy is gone. He's looking for work right now, in fact. And Brian Schottenheimer is the new head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, gets a 4-year deal. The amount of the contract is, I guess, undisclosed at this point. I was unable to find any hard figures from credible sources online prior to us going on the show. I don't know if you heard the terms of the deal at all.
No, I don't know. I haven't heard that, but I don't care about the money. I'm just, hell, the guy stole his boss's job. You know, he wasn't even a coordinator, Dan. He never called plays. So how can the Joneses get a relationship with a guy like that and say, this is our next head coach? So it tells me he was snooping in the back room. He was snooping. Now, Mike McCarthy is out. Might be out of football now. And the guy he put his balls on the table for has taken his job. Okay? So, do the math. Something went on in the back rooms, okay, that nobody knows. And we see it now. Because, hell, you don't go from not calling plays, just being a guy in the building, to running a football team. The number one man.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Of course, for those of us who are old enough, of course, the last name Schottenheimer. I mean, that's Marty Schottenheimer's son. That's where the name sounds familiar from. The old ball coach with the Cleveland Browns there for years, and the Kansas City Chiefs. So now Brian Schottenheimer is the coach, 4-year deal. And I want to read a quote to you here that Coach Schottenheimer said, and see what your thoughts are. Quote, "The objective and the main thing is we want to win the Super Bowl," Schottenheimer said. And my dad, longtime head coach, as I mentioned, Marty Schottenheimer, always talked about that. He said, well, why would you have any other goals? It should be about winning the Super Bowl and only one team wins. But that doesn't mean you don't strive for that. And I think one of the things about me taking over this prestigious position is we can hit the ground running pretty fast because I don't need to learn the decision makers. I don't need to learn the quarterback. I don't need to learn how things work. And so I feel like we're kind of ahead of the curve in some of these other teams, with some of these other teams that make changes, end quote. What's your reaction to that?
Dan, it takes leadership and it takes players to get to the Super Bowl. You're just not going to get to the Super Bowl because you're like every other team. Your goal is to make it to the Super Bowl. Two things: leadership, one, total leadership, and then players. Look at the teams that are in it. They have leadership and players. So if he can come up with the right leadership and they can add players to that roster to sort of get up to the Redskins, the Commanders, okay, and to the level of the Eagles, first you got to get out of your own division, man. So before you start talking Super Bowl, beat the Commanders, okay, and then come and beat the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, that's just it. You bring up an interesting point, Lionel. I mean, going to next year, I mean, these two teams, the Commanders and Eagles, were just in the NFC Championship game, a few days ago, and the Giants are in desperation mode. So who knows how that's going to play out? But I can't see Dallas being better than third place in that division and probably in last place. Can you see it any differently at this point?
It's going to be tough because Philly's good, man. They're strong and loaded. And you know what Daniels is doing in Washington and Dan Quinn and those guys, they're putting a fun team together. Man, they've got a long way to go. Right now it's 1-2, and then everything dips. Boop, it drops.
Yeah,
So right
yeah,
now
yeah.
they're dropped from the pack.
Yeah, not only that, but Philadelphia is going to have whatever the turnout in the Super Bowl is. They're going to have another off season to reload on top of it, and they're going to pick up more players and more people. I mean, that's a destination for free agents. Everybody wants to play in Philadelphia now.
Well,
Um,
two, Danny, they know what they're doing, man.
right, right,
Howie
and
Roseman.
yeah, and then Adam Peters in Washington, the GM over there, who
Yeah,
did a real nice job this year. He has
absolutely.
$100 million of cap space and a bunch of picks, and so I mean, those two teams are probably only going to be better. And
Yeah.
Dallas has got a lot of ground to make up, so it's going to be really, really difficult. Okay, philosophically, as somebody who worked in the buildings, been around the Jones family, who's been around all these decision, type makers in that building, has been around this whole atmosphere and environment for a number of years. In your mind, when you think about this, Brian Schottenheimer, why would the Cowboys pick Schottenheimer in your mind? Like, what is if you had to guess, if you had to put money on, if you had to say, okay, you know what, I'm in a game show, they say final answer, Lionel, and you say final answer, and what would that be? I mean, why did they pick him in your mind?
I would say he fits their profile. He's going to do what they say. He's not going to buck anything. He's going to play his role as the guy who is named the head coach, but he's not going to make any final decisions. I mean, when you look at Deion Sanders, first of all, I like Deion Sanders. Let's put that out there for the record. But they weren't going to bring Deion there with his entourage and all these people running all over the building and rappers and actors and everybody coming there and showing up the Jones family and showing up the Dallas Cowboys. They weren't about to bring Deion. They love Deion Sanders, but with Deion comes an entourage, and their entourage is the Jones family. They're going to do it their way. They're not going to have other people running in and out of their building, in and out of their practices on game day. Man, that would be a nightmare for them. So that kills Deion. And then Kellen Moore, I don't know what happened with that. When I was there, they loved Kellen Moore, man. He couldn't do anything wrong. And Kellen, as you see, Kellen's up for jobs now. He's with I think the Saints are interviewing him, and he's probably going to get the job. Kellen Moore is doing a great job with Philadelphia. It works out for Kellen.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially with that Deion Sanders thing. I mean, that would have been Mr. Jones is in the marketing. I mean, that would have been a marketing bonanza. I mean, I understand the entourage that comes with it, but I mean, the amount of marketing he could have done with that and all the old players who were behind that move, and Michael Irvin was out there talking and all these things. I mean, it would just really reconnect it. I feel like that could have been the move to really reconnect, this team to their fan base, because that's something I want to talk about, Lionel, because this fan base last preseason and training camp, we've touched on this a couple of times. The fans weren't even really buying into the Dallas Cowboys before the 2024 season, right? I mean, they weren't buying into it. I mean, this team basically neglected the running back position. Fans were kind of feeling kind of iffy about it, and now they do this. I mean, personally, I mean, I'm on social media. I scour social media like a hawk, and I'm on there all the time, just about on my downtimes here and there, wherever, in between evaluating film and all the stuff I do, 17 to 22 hours a day, however long I work. But I mean, it's like I haven't seen one positive remark, one positive comment from any Cowboys fans out there about this hire. How in the world? I mean, Skip Bayless was just beside himself on his show. He was just like, he said he would have preferred if Jerry Jones would have named himself the head coach. He said it would have been more entertaining than at least, at the very least. Like, he was just he came off like he was mind blown at the decision. I mean, how are they going to sell this? I understand they get the revenue sharing, and who cares? And they're going to make 1/32 of the pie if they don't win another game for the next 10 years. I understand that. But how are they going to connect this to the fan base? How are they going to sell this to the fan base? And why would a Dallas Cowboys fan show up to a game next year and sit in that seat?
Yeah, but they've been saying that for 30 years, Dan. They keep coming back. I mean, as long as the Dallas Cowboys fans come back, sit in the seats, watch the games on TV, and participate in all that stuff, they're going to do what they want to do. Now, they're the number one revenue team in professional
Right.
sports. So they're going to
Right.
get their money's in the bank. So we could sit up on here and say, what about the fans? How are they going to appease the fans? They really don't have to, because those fans, they've never called the Cowboys to the mat ever yet. They've not. They've not said, hey, we're not coming to the game. There's 20,000 people in the stadium. Every time I look, it's a packed house, over 90,000 people in there. So until you boycott and don't show up, this is what you're going to get.
Is that what it's going to take?
It's going to take something like that. It's going to take something like that, because they're going to do it the way they want to do it. It's a family-run business, and that's all they care about. They want to make sure it's a family-run business. That's how they do it. It's been successful, and they don't care, man, what you think. Okay, that's why they hired Brian Schottenheimer. Guy hadn't even
But the
voted.
Right. But the Cowboys fans are pretty educated. I mean, how long can this organization live off the fumes of what they did in the '90s?
As long as they're getting paid, man. They're getting the most money in sports.
Right?
What more needs to be said?
No, you're right. I
It's
mean,
it's
that's the
not
facts
it's
are the
not
facts.
Dan. It's not affecting their pocket. The coaches they've had. It doesn't affect their pockets.
Right. Right.
They
Well,
Go
right.
ahead.
Well, here's the confusing part to me. Okay, let's just say they just say, okay, we're going to just throw caution to the wind. We don't really care. People are going to buy into us whether we win or lose. No matter what we do, we're going to be rolling in cash. Why? I mean, what's the reasoning behind signing Dak Prescott then and signing CD Lamb? Why spend hundreds of millions of dollars on that thing? Why not just throw a couple guys from the practice squad out there, wide receiver and quarterback, and just call it a day? I mean, either way, they're going to make the money. Either way, people are going to show up. I mean, why invest the money in those two positions if just get rid of Parsons, just don't pay anybody, and just be in last place, and they'll be number one in revenue no matter what. I mean, why not just take that approach? Why did they pay these guys? I don't understand that. That's the piece of the puzzle I don't get, because by them signing, Dak Prescott, that blocked the Deion Shador thing, because Deion said he's not going anywhere with his son, so that blocked that. And then CD Lamb gets paid all that money. I don't understand the strategy.
Well, Dan, the Cowboys signed CD Lamb to a big contract, and they signed Dak Prescott to a big contract.
Right.
Uh,
Monster deals.
but Dan, they overestimated their roster. They overevaluated their roster. They really thought they had a good roster. They misevaluated that roster. So
But
no, they
right.
thought we don't have to go out and sign anybody. We got a roster. It didn't work out. They misevaluated. If they thought they had to go out and sign players, they would have, Dan. They thought they had a good enough roster to win.
How could they think that? Whether Rico Dowdell or bring back, I mean, Zeke Elliott was done the last time they let him go. When he went up to New England, he was finished. I mean, did they think he was going to come back with some secret sauce or something and find his mojo and become Zeke Elliott? I mean, I don't understand the logic even. I mean, anybody in the National Football League who's watched football for even a season or two, knows that you have to have a balanced offensive attack. They neglected the running back position. They set Dak up to be so one-dimensional. I've never coached a day in my life, but if I was a defensive coordinator, I would have said, okay, that's it. We're just going to play. I could care less. If I was coaching, if I was a defensive coach, I could care less about the run. I don't respect it whatsoever. We're just going to load up blitz and we're going to play the pass. And so why pay all that money to Dak and put him in a position to fail?
Well, Mike McCarthy, obviously Mike said, "Hey, we're good. We got Dak. We're going to throw the ball. CD Lamb. We're fine. We're going to block it up front, and we're going to be a passing football team. We're going to be wide open." Well, they forgot about the running game. It wasn't any good. They forgot about the defense, the interior line. They misevaluated. There was a lot of misevaluations there.
Yeah. And then they watch all these guys go out to Washington. They're in the NFC Championship game. Dan Quinn, all the coaches, the defensive coordinator there, all these players they brought in, from Dallas and everything. They're all in the championship game. That's a bad look, too.
Well, the unfortunate thing is, they just signed Brian Schottenheimer, and they're going to go at it next year with the group that they have. I'm sure they're going to make some moves this offseason. But, Dan, they're so far behind. They're so behind the Commanders, man, and the Eagles.
Yeah.
They're so far behind. I'm just talking about that division. I'm not even talking about the Rams.
Right. Well, they can't even get. They're not even. They don't have to worry about all that unless they can get outside the NFC East. They don't need to worry about that.
I understand that, but I've seen 3 teams go to the playoffs.
Right.
So
we saw with the NFC North this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So it happens. I mean, so you've got to at least be 1 or 2 in your division to get to the playoffs. The third team won't make it. The teams ahead of them are so good. The Commanders are really good, and we know about the Eagles. They'll be in the Super Bowl next week. It doesn't look good in Dallas, Danny.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And I think the thing that's most troubling to me is it doesn't make logical sense what's happening down there.
Well,
does it to you?
Well, it doesn't have to, Dan. They do what they want. Look, if I keep treating you badly and you keep coming back, do what the hell I want. You're coming back. I could say, we're trying to do it. We're going to do it better. Well, everything is, but I keep doing the same thing. You keep coming back, and I still keep going to the bank. They've never missed a day at the bank, and that's what it comes down to.
Right? No, you're right. You're right. That's the problem. So I guess we'll know when the gig's up, when they stop showing up, right?
Man, the Dallas Cowboys fans will never stop showing up.
Even if they have no hope of winning? Even if they have no hope of winning?
In our lifetime. If they stop showing up, the ones that go to the games, the new guys that come that never could get in. They have so much fans, man. They're backed up with fans. And they have it going on. They really have fans, man. That's why they call them America's team. They don't have to worry about fans. They have 4 and 5 times the amount of fans that the average team may have.
But I mean, being a fan though, I mean, they want to have hope. I don't. How can a fan go to a stadium with no hope?
Well, you know what? I don't know what to tell you, Dan. It ain't. The Cowboys will do things the way the Cowboys do things.
Yeah.
They don't care what the fans think. They don't care what players think. They don't. I admire them for that. Because they do what the hell they want to do. Everybody wants to live like that. Truly, that's how they live. That's how Mr. Jerry Jones and Steven and those guys, They do what they want to do the way they want to do it, man. And I admire that. Everybody wants to live like that. And they've been successful doing it that way. When I say successful, financially successful.
Right. Well, hey, we're out of time. We went a little bit over, but great stuff as always, Lionel. Thank you so much. And thank you for everybody for watching and listening. And make sure to tell your friends at the office about us and join us for our next show when we're going to talk about, yes, you guessed it, more football. That'll be fun.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us for the latest episode of two former NFL scouts, Vitale and Kelly. No nonsense, uncensored, hard-hitting football analysis. Weekdays